On this episode, I talk with Ray, an agency owner, who he talks about his unique interviewing process for actually bringing on media buyers. It's really an amazing process. So if you're in media buying and you want to know his process of how he's scaled his agency over 7 figures and found amazing people, this is the episode for you. I think you really like this process Ray developed. Hey, Ray, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, Jason? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So tell us who you are and what do you do?
Okay, so my name is Ray Sinlao. I have an agency called Standard Conversions and a software company called buyertool.io. And pretty much, I used to be a developer up until 2016. Like one day I showed up to work and I remember like walking into the office. I worked at Sony and like they have all these TVs over there. I was like, hey, Steve, thank you for your 30 years of service. Like, Stan, thank you for your like 28 years. And I was like, oh no. So I went up to them and I asked him like, hey, like Steve, am I gonna be you in like 30 years? And he was just like, yeah. And I was like, do you like it? And he was like, yeah, man. Then I just like went home and I was like, I can't be like Steve. So then I just like so I just like brainstormed
awesome.
A bunch of different ideas to do. And like, I did have experience with conversion rate optimization as a developer. So then when I figured out like, oh, I could do like internet marketing, and then I brought those worlds together, it kind of just really did great.
Didn't want to be like Steve.
Yeah,
Right.
that's not his real name.
Awesome.
I changed it for this purposes.
We're going to look up Steve. Sorry, Steve. But tell us kind of, all right, now that you made that decision, because there's a lot of us listening, right? That we were at a dead end job. I was at Arthur Andersen. I was a computer programmer, even though you're probably a lot better programmer than I, because I sat by really smart people. I probably sat by you in college and I paid people like you to do my work. So I learned to outsource at a very early on. So tell us kind of what was the process when you were like, hey, I don't want to be like Steve. I want to, start this agency. What was kind of the path? What was the next step?
I think like, I'm a developer through like YouTube University as well. So then I just did the same thing with the agency stuff. I did some searching, I actually found you online, and then got my first clients through some of the contracts that you put on. What's the program called? It was
the Agency Playbook.
Yeah. So then I started with that. Then I found my first clients. It was a local DJ. And then I went to a real estate internet marketing conference and then pulled some people in through there, like a credit repair company, and then started finding other deals with like e-com and like the affiliate side of things. And it just did pretty decent. I did my first $1 million in revenue in August of 2017.
That's fantastic. And how long did it take you to get to the $1 million in revenue?
I think I left Sony, I believe, in 2000, like October 2016, I believe.
Wow, that's very quick. So congratulations on that. So what were some of the things? Because a lot of times people are trying to figure out, how do we get over that hump, right? That 7 figure. So if there was 1 or 2 things that you did, thinking back, what were some of the things that you did?
Well, I just did a lot of performance-based deals. And I was able to scale pretty rapidly with that. Obviously, it would be difficult to do with the retainers, but I did those and then was just taking a margin on the profits, essentially.
So I love that you were like, I know my shit, right? And that's usually the first requirement I tell people. A lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, I want to jump in the playbook. Does the playbook show me how to do Facebook ads? I'm like, no. Does it show me how to do it? Like, no, like it's already assuming you know how to do something really well. And that's the secret to really everyone's success. So tell me more about, because there's a lot of times people are thinking about, how do we charge based on results? And what are some of the gotchas? Have you always been successful at that? Or is there any things that you would say avoid because you'll get burned here?
Yeah, you want to avoid, well, first of all, you want to just work with people that you could definitely, if you don't trust them 100%, then don't work with them at all. Like if there's 1% off, because I got burned on a deal, like one of my first deals, the guy just literally I was working with, he just disappeared with the money and I never found him. I actually saw him on the street a year ago, but I just ignored him.
What is his name? Is his name Steve?
No, no. Yeah,
we're,
but
we're,
honestly, like the biggest thing for me was uh, starting to hire team members and training them to essentially just take over all of the internet marketing tasks. So it was super. I mean, at first, like the first couple of years, I was doing all the ads myself, like writing all the copy, like doing all the media buying, and then I mean, you just kind of reach a burnout. Like I got sick for a couple of weeks, and everything literally just came to a dead stop. Then I realized like, oh, I gotta start bringing people in because it was just so much work, like 16 hours a day. And the whole point of doing all this stuff is like to spend time with your family and stuff like that, and like benefit from what you're working for. So
yeah.
2019, I started like hiring people, and then since then I've built a team of about like 11 marketers and like 30 employees.
That's awesome. And so a lot of times people, and I love that you're like, trust your gut, right? Like I'm the same way. If there's like one, like that little thing in my gut, like I feel like I'm going to get burned. Like I'm like, nope, I walk away. So that's great advice on making, and I'm glad you came to that pivotal point because there's a lot of times I work with agencies and they're like, no one else can do my job as good as me. How did you get over that point? Was it just like, I just can't scale if I don't bring on people to do this? Like, what was that mental shift that had to go through?
Well, I mean, I just like you being a developer, like I feel like I'm not that great of a developer and not that great of a marketer. So like, if I, so when I bring people in, and actually they're doing way better than me, my media buyers won't even like listen to me. If I come into a meeting and I'm like, hey guys, do your ad sets like this, do your targeting, they'll just be like, Ray, just sit down and do your CEO thing. But yeah, I realized after just realize you can't. I mean, it's one thing to scale ad accounts yourself and being able to handle all that, but if you could scale a team that could scale ad accounts, it's just so much better.
Well, obviously, I think you're selling yourself short too, right? Like you were already getting amazing results for your clients, so it's not like like you were already good. How did you go about in evaluating? I guess there's two questions in this because I think a lot of people struggle with this. How did you go about evaluating someone that could take over scaling these things for your clients, as well as what did you have to train? Like, how did you train them? Like, how did you
Okay.
evaluate them? How did you train them? Because there's so many people that struggle with this.
Yeah. So I actually have like a knowledge. This carries over from the developer side too, just having a knowledge base and processes to everything. So as soon as, I mean, every single task that's repeated is actually on Confluence that is fully documented, that anyone that joins the company at any time could just look in like, hey, what happens if your campaigns tank? Check this page. What happens if this happens? Then check this out. It's like, how do you scale? Then like, look at these metrics and that's what you do. Um,
Now, how
so
long did it take
that's,
you to do that? Like, is that just the programmer side? Like you did that since the very beginning and just started documenting it, or as soon as you
yeah,
figured out what worked, then you started documenting it?
yeah, everything we've always been documenting and updating the knowledge base as we go. Like it's still being updated today and will hopefully be continued to be updated. Like as everything changes, it's, I mean, like Facebook changes, Google changes and stuff. You just have to update it as well. But
Very cool.
so I do have a training program where so a lot of my media buyers have never actually done any marketing or media buying ever in their entire lives.
Okay, tell
So
us more.
yeah. So so what I do is I have I think it's like a 5-step process. The first is like the selection process. And I'm just gonna like set this off memory, but I know they have to read a book called Great Leads by Michael Masterson, and
Okay.
then write 2,000 words of copy. And that kind of just, I mean, it doesn't really apply that much, but it just kind of lets you know like, hey, this person's willing to do that much work to get this job. So then that
I love it.
takes a couple of weeks. They have to read the whole thing and they have to write, and then we ask them questions like, hey, which part of the book are you using in your copy? And you just have to see if they're actually trying. And once they're actually trying, then they go into the next phase, which is essentially just being paired up with one of the media buyers and observing for an entire week. So they'll just be,
Non-paid? Are you paying them or non-paid?
I believe they're getting paid like part-time minimum wage,
Okay.
which
Good.
is pretty good because they're getting paid to learn something that
Learn.
could make them
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah. But I don't think they're getting paid for the tryout, the selection part.
Correct. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then
It's just like read
what's
this book and
after
write.
that? So after the shadow week, then what's next?
Oh, then they start actually uploading campaigns for the media buyers for a week, just uploading. So they get their hands in on it without actually having to risk anything. And then I
Okay.
believe they manage one campaign inside of one of the media buyers ad accounts, just
Okay.
to COVID. I'm just joking. But they just manage one campaign, and then like the next step they manage an entire ad account, and then they're on their own. But they have to hit a goal, and the goal that we set is $10,000 profit in 1 month. And once they do that, we give them like, well, we used to just take them out to lunch and be like, congratulations, give them like a company hat and like a laptop and stuff like that. Then they are able to like receive commission, and it takes like 3 months to get to this point. So then they really enjoy being a part of the team.
I love it. I love that you're making them do a lot more work in the very beginning to see how interested they are. And I presume they probably know the process a little bit too. It'd be like, hey, read this book, write this paper or this essay, and then the next step is you're going to shadow us and go through a 3-month training where we'll pay you a certain. Is that they already know that before they go into reading the book and the essay, or?
Yeah, it's not an essay. It's it's actual like advertorial copy. So we have to know, because I mean, part of the media buying is kind of knowing if your headline is going to sell as well. But yeah, we tell them about the whole thing. Like, hey, it takes this long. This is how long it took Mike. This is how long it took EJ. You're going to be working with them, and good luck.
I love it. And
Yeah.
so how many, a lot of time people are probably asking me in my, like they're shouting out the podcast in their car going, well, so how many, what's the conversion rate of like,
Oh, I think like 10% or something, or like most of the people drop at the reading and writing, like the initial part, because it
okay.
takes so long, and you're, yeah, it's just a long investment in time and effort.
Yeah, I love it. And then
Yeah,
if they
it
make
gets
it
rid
to
of all
the,
it gets rid of all the time wasters and bullshitters like immediately, because I've been in situations where like someone will come in and tell me, hey Ray, I'm like, so about this is all I'm gonna do. I've like seen Gary Vaynerchuk and doing all these, like I'm working at it, and then I'll just be like, I'll just like skip the step, let's just go ahead and get into the media buying. And then all of a sudden they don't want to like continue their education or like check their accounts at night or do things on the weekend, which
yeah.
I mean, no matter what, the ad accounts keep spending, so they have to stay on top of it. But that's like where you have to really figure that out.
So so once they get past, or like when they get into the shadow and you're paying them minimum wage, what's the conversion from start to finish?
I mean, I would say half of those people make it.
It's fantastic. And I bet the
Yeah.
people that make it, they stay forever.
Yeah, like I think a couple of them are willing to get like tattoos of the like team name.
That's commitment.
Yeah, I know, but I'm like, hey, dude, let's just all enjoy and make money and feed our families.
Yeah. I want to know where the tattoos go.
I know, right? Right on the face.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love, and then after they do that, they've already been indoctrinated into the process, and then you can just roll them in, follow the exact process that you have, and that's incredible. So congratulations on that.
And the whole time, like we're driving that, like, hey, we're all part of a team. Like we all watch out for each other. Like the team is more important than because it's easy to get into that mindset of like, hey, I'm managing my accounts, I'm taking my commission, and then like F everyone else, and they'll just like silo themselves. And we try to avoid that as much as possible.
So since you guys are getting paid as an agency on the results or performance, are the account managers, the people running the deals, getting paid on that as well?
Yeah, they get a percentage.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I was working with a client many years ago, and they were paying their account manager a flat fee, and they never could figure out why they would never upsell. I'm like, well, you're not incentivizing them to upsell. You're not. You got to incentivize people to do what you want them to do for your
Yeah.
clients. So very smart. Well, let's transition. Tell me a little bit about the tool and the software that you've developed and how that actually came about, because I find that interesting as well.
Okay, so as I started bringing on more media buyers, more clients, adding like more teams and more ad accounts and more spend, it just became like increasingly difficult to manage everything via spreadsheets. And also just staying on top. I mean, you can use super metrics, but like having to stay on top of everyone just became difficult. So then I had to like build something to really see how everyone was performing. So Buyer Tool essentially just connects to everyone's ad accounts. It assigns the client, the media buyer, and aggregates all the data into one platform.
Oh,
So
that's
you could
huge.
actually see all the data, like where every penny is going. You could see, and you could also control the ad accounts from the platform as well.
So you don't have to log in here and log in here and just try to
Yeah, you
figure out
don't.
where everything's going. It's one
Yeah, you don't
interface.
have to have like tons of tabs open. Like each media buyer could see all of their accounts in one place, and it's updated like every 15 seconds. So they could just like wake up in the morning, check it, and then just know exactly where to get started.
That's fantastic. And how long ago did you develop this tool? Like how
We
long have you been internally using this tool?
Okay, so I came up with the idea in April 2019, and then we had a working prototype, I believe, in June of 2019, and we've been using it ourselves since then. And since August of this year, or 2020, we just opened it up as a SaaS platform for other companies to use as well.
That's all. And how much, I mean, I can only imagine how much time is it saving the people managing your ads, going into one
Well,
interface?
it actually allowed our media buyers to go from just having to constantly be cycling through their ad accounts and optimizing them to like it cut their time in more than half, to where they could either take on more ad accounts or clients, or just like really zone in and focus on those ones and try out different like as many
Wow.
different angles and be more creative.
I mean, it's just like I always tell everybody, I'm like, saving time and being able to like, I always would have my team, they would always be like, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I can't handle any more clients. And I was always like, well, what can we do to streamline that? I love that you solve that own issue for yourself. What's the website address that everybody can go and check out Buyer's Tool?
It's buyertool.io. Just go
Awesome.
to buyertool.io/swank so I could attribute it to this podcast. But yeah, right now it's just in closed beta, so we're kind of like vetting and bringing in pretty much only e-commerce and lead gen agencies and like brand owners. But yeah, it's $350 flat rate per month, unlimited team members, unlimited spend and ad accounts, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like an amazing tool. What you showed me a little while ago was pretty cool. So congrats on creating that tool, and congrats on the agency growth too, and coming up
Yeah.
with that process. That's so brilliant. I hope a lot of you guys have taken that away, and make sure you guys go to the website, Buyer Tool. Tell them again, since I'll probably butcher it. So where can they
Oh, it's
actually go?
buyertool.io/swank.
Awesome.
So
I always do the same thing. I'm like slash dot. I'm like, whatever it is. I'm just glad
yeah.
we can tell your age because you didn't do WW. All my old
Oh.
people I have on this show, they're like WWW. I'm like, stop doing that.
Yeah.
So, but well, awesome. This has all been amazing. Is there anything I didn't ask you, Ray, that you think would help out some of the listeners?
I don't know. I think we covered most of it.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, everybody go check out Buyer Tool. It's an amazing software that will save you time if you're managing ads and keep it in one place. And until next time, have a swank day.